Erev Tov Chavrim, I'm Stephen Ben-Nun, and you're watching Israeli News Live. Breaking news coming out of Israel. Some news that has passed years ago that never has gone public, as well as some breaking news that has gone public. Well, it'll be Brother Begley that literally breaks it first. We'll be filming with him later tonight, but he's allowed us to use the footage from his own television program to share that with you as well. But I need to back up a little bit because both stories are incredible and I want you to be able to hear exactly what's going on. Those of you that follow Israeli News Live have known we have been stating consistently over and over and over that they have been doing the infrastructure for a two-state solution, and the two-state solution is a done deal. It's obvious from the signs all over Israel that they have been doing all the infrastructure for a two-state solution, including these eco-bridge, as they call it, they have put up on Highway 1 from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which really serves no purpose. Do you really think that Israel would spend millions of dollars on building an eco-bridge so the bunny rabbit can cross the road? I don't think the bunny rabbit really cares about the bridge or not. I think the thing is this has been put there for a future checkpoint to cause Israeli citizens to have to go through a checkpoint just to get to Jerusalem. A lot of people don't like that idea, but I have some very strong support to back my own claim that what I'm saying is actually true. Today, in a separate interview, which you probably will have already seen by the time this particular broadcast airs, and that is Shimon Tov, who lives here in Israel. He is a native, he is a Sabra. He was born here in Israel. He is also a believer in Yeshua, but he grew up here. And Shimon Tov, he sat down with me today to talk about the checkpoints and what's going on here in Israel, because he as well has noticed from years ago the infrastructure that has been being put in place for clearly what he says is a two-state solution. Even on Highway 1, he shares the same belief that I have, that this was actually done as a two-state solution and that this was going to be used as a checkpoint in the near future. And he cannot see any other reason why they would build such a momentous structure there and spend all this money only to be an eco-bridge. But something that he shared with me today in the interview, Shimon Tov shared with me, that was stunning, is what really made the whole thing come to life. And that was, Shimon Tov said that years ago, when Ariel Sharon was Prime Minister of Israel, a friend of his called him up, weeping bitterly. When he finally was able to calm her down, she explained to him that she had been sitting inside a meeting there in the Knesset. She said there were people from all over the world, but mainly from the United States, Europe, and of course Israeli officials, including Ariel Sharon. He could not name the people for security concerns, but he did let me know that what was happening was that they had actually, the sisters told him, the reason she is weeping so profusely was because that she had witnessed the signing of the two-state solution. They had already signed it. And she could not stop weeping because she was a witness to the fact a two-state solution was indeed signed by Ariel Sharon with the United States, with Palestinian members, European members that were there as well. But as I said, he could not name those that were present, other than he mentioned Ariel Sharon's name by name. And he said for the safety of others that could be concerned there, I cannot tell you who it actually was. So as we have been saying all along, there is a two-state solution. It's already been signed, and now we have the evidence to prove that it's so. But if you think that's something, it gets even more interesting, because I was with Pastor Paul Begley at the Knesset yesterday as helping him, because we're doing the filming for his television program, helping him with that. We went there to film Rabbi Yehuda Glick, who is now a Knesset member with the Likud party. That's Prime Minister Netanyahu's party. And while we were there, Pastor Begley brought out some serious questions with Rabbi Glick there about specific things that are going on in Israel. And I was given permission by Pastor Bagley that I could use some of that footage myself in what you're about to see. Now I want to take you real quick, share with you a clip of what was said by Yehuda Glick. Let's take a look at this.
This in France, they're talking of a two-state solution. Can I ask
You're allowed to talk about anything. We're not against talking. We're for talking.
They say that Israel is not involved in the discussion about that or the Palestinian.
Okay. Really? No, I don't have to go to the other one.
Okay. We understand that right now in France, there's been 20 countries that are meeting about a potential resolution that they would like to bring before the Security Council of the United Nations.
We have no problem. People can talk. We're for talking.
But you're not at the table, is what I'm saying. Israel's not at the table, and neither is the Palestinian Authority.
Okay. So therefore, you can see how serious that is. I mean, Netanyahu mentioned that you know when you want a wedding, you can't have a wedding when the groom and the bride are not there. You can talk about it. You can discuss it.
Somebody's got to show up at the altar, right?
Yeah. I mean, eventually you have to. If you want a wedding, you need a wedding. That's all.
So there's not a concern, I should ask, of a
Our hands on the ground to build and to plant and to run ahead.
So, you mentioned that. The nation of Israel feels the divine call. You're here because of the divine hand of God. And even if the United Nations were to try to force two-state solution, and the reason I bring that up,
There's no two-state solution option. It's too late. They had a chance in 1947. They had a chance in 1967. They had a chance in 2000. We passed that stage. Everybody whose eyes are open understands that there's one state, the Jewish state, and we give full human rights to all minorities.
Yes.
But this is the Jewish state. There's a law, the law of return. All Jews are allowed to come here, and this is what the state is all about. No two-state anymore. It's a two-state.
that's off the table. You're
It's
saying.
not even the word of a two-state solution, because two-state is not a solution; it's a problem.
Right.
A two-state creates a problem.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
If you're anything like me, you should be stunned by the very words that you heard. But the thing is I need to bring it home to you so you can really understand exactly what he says. Now, notice, as I shared with you earlier, Shimon Tov said there was already a two-state solution signed. It's already been signed, backed by Ariel Sharon. Okay? Now, of course, that fulfills biblical prophecy from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35. And let me just go there with you real quick to Ezekiel. I'm using an online Bible right now, so just bear with me just a moment because I couldn't carry everything down here with me to do all this, but I wanted to share this with you. It's things that I've shared with you before, and I'll share with you again today, so that you can see the prophecies, friends, that are being fulfilled faster than you can actually even imagine. All right, in Ezekiel 35, very interesting. All right, now this is where God is dealing with Mount Seir, and God is swearing that He's going to make Mount Seir desolate for the evils that He has done. Okay, Mount Seir, by the way, is where Esau actually lived. And of course, He speaks of him as Edom, which Esau had the nickname Edom as well, which is none other than the Roman Catholic Church, by the way. So just so you're aware of that. All right, now He says, I will make thee, this is in verse 9, I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and you shall know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast said, verse 10, it's very important you get this, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. Now, I've always told you guys, that shows without a doubt that Israel would be divided into two nations. And that's exactly what we found out today with Shimon Tov, when Shimon Tov said clearly that Ariel Sharon signed an agreement for a two-state solution. It was made into law here in Israel. But the problem is the people have no idea that this actually has already taken place. Only the strange thing that the infrastructure, the way it's going. Now, we know also, though, later, in the chapter there, he says in verse 15, and as thou did rejoice over the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so I will do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, and O Mount Seir, and all Edom, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Now, keep in mind, Obadiah also indicts Edom, or Esau, which is Rome, as being guilty for the destruction of the temple and the city of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Of course, it was Titus, a Roman general, but he clearly, Obadiah mentions by prophecy that it would be the house of Judah that goes into captivity as a result of this. And we know that Titus, a Roman general, as Obadiah brings it out, stood aloof while his brothers were basically destroyed, all right? So, and this is exactly what scholars are saying, that Titus didn't do the actual dirty work. It was the Syrians. Well, of course not. Obadiah clearly even prophesies that as well. So the prophecy of Obadiah is impeccably accurate, that it's the Romans who do all this. And it also says in Obadiah that they took away your brother's substance, or his treasures. I forget the exact wording there. You can see it in Obadiah. It's only one chapter. All right? And that's what they did. The Ark of Titus declares that Titus, a Roman general, brought back the menorah and other temple artifacts, and they were what? Rejoicing. Just as Ezekiel brings it out in prophecy that all this would happen. All right, so this is incredible, the things that we see going on. Now, it doesn't stop there, though. Like I said, that proves the two-state solution issue. But, friends, it only gets more interesting, because as I just shared with you there, the clip from Rabbi Glick, he said there is no more two-state solution. In fact, let me quote it for you, because I wrote a transcription of his words. There's no two-state solution option. It's too late. They had their chance in 1947. They had a chance in 1967. They had a chance in 2000. By the way, in 2000, this was when the Catholic Church was involved with trying to bring about the two-state solution. But remember, Ariel Sharon already signed that two-state into law with the United States, and he didn't say, but I have a feeling there were Vatican representatives in that room as well. No doubt, besides the Palestinians, all right? So anyway, we have passed that stage, he says, Glick says. Everybody whose eyes are open understands that there's one state, a Jewish state. We give full human rights to all minorities. But this is a Jewish state. There is a law of return, and all Jews are allowed to come here. This is what the state is all about. No two states anymore. This is coming from Yehuda Glick, who is a representative of the Knesset of the Likud party. Okay? No two states anymore. Now he starts to say it's a two-state, but if you remember, Paul cut him off. All right, but then he picks right back up. It's not even a word of a two-state solution, because a two-state is not a solution. It's a problem. Two states creates a problem. But the thing is we already have the information that a two-state solution was signed by Ariel Sharon. So what is this then when Glick says there's no two-state? Well, you see, I was a little bit troubled about the prophecy of Daniel. So let's go back to Daniel and let's look at that. I've shared that with you guys many times, and there's always been one key to that prophecy that's kind of threw me for a loop, because in Hebrew it doesn't say the robbers of your people, but the sons of the lawless. All right, so let's go back. That's Daniel chapter 11. We're going to go down here to verse 14. In English they have it, and in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south. All right, also the children of the violent among thy people, or robbers, I believe that Christian Bible states, shall lift themselves up to establish the vision, but they shall stumble. Now notice, it's a stumble. Also in the English KJV, it says they shall fall. I think stumble would be the more accurate translation. But let me just share with you though, verse 14, when you look at this in the Hebrew language, it's a little bit different. It says, Uvane paretzi, which means, and the sons of the lawless, see, amcha, of your people. This is the angel Gabriel speaking to Daniel. So when the sons of the lawless, all right, and that's plural. So it's not just Shimon Peres who sold out Israel to the Palestinians there, or maybe to the Vatican, not so much the Palestinians. Remember, the Palestinians are the small people that come up strong. They come up strong. See? That's what that scripture is in Daniel 11. That prince that shall come, he comes up strong with a small people. That's the Palestinians. After they've made this covenant, or this, I believe that they call it, it's not called a covenant, it's, I forget exactly what it's called there, but anyway, they make an agreement there. I believe that agreement was what he signed with the Jewish Congress. And the Jewish Congress are those Jewish brothers that are not standing with Israel to be one nation. But they went, and if you look at all the different rabbis that are on board with the Nostra Aetate, that signed in with the Vatican, these are all rabbis that have been supporting the Vatican for at least 10 years or more in most cases. They're not for the Jewish people. They are for dividing the land. Now see, the thing is they've continued on, even though it's been signed as a two-state solution, they have continued on to try to get it, as they make it look as if they've not passed it, like they're still trying to get it passed. Why? Because the people have not accepted it. And this is where the major stumbling block is. They know if they begin to enact it, even though they've built the infrastructure for it, the people have not gone along with it. All right, so let's look at what it says in the Hebrew language there. Okay? Ina sha'u lahamid, see, haza'on. All right, so they're going to, all right, now they have written here, the children of the violent among thy people shall lift themselves up to establish the vision, but it actually in Hebrew says they're going to marry the vision. Now you remember what Rabbi Glick said in the interview, the first clip I played you? He actually states there, he's quoting Prime Minister Netanyahu, and what does he say? What does the Prime Minister say? We're told, because what did he do? Pastor Paul Begley brought up the point. He wanted to know what was the deal about the French over there with 20 nations there, 20 ministers of nations there, are there trying to force a two-state solution. And of course, what does Rabbi Glick say? Rabbi Glick brings out, first off, he says, look, like Prime Minister Netanyahu said, you cannot have a marriage without the bride and the bridegroom present. Now, he didn't just say this as some haphazard thing, friends. What he said was prophetic. Whether Rabbi Glick realized what he was saying or not there at the Knesset, he was speaking a prophecy, and that's what's written in Daniel 11:14. They're trying to marry the vision. Now, the thing is, they passed that two-state solution, but notice, though, and it says that they shall stumble, but they shall stumble or they shall fall. So it's beginning to make more and more sense because they did fall. They did stumble. Yes, they signed it. It is two nations, according to Ezekiel 35 in his prophecy. But there's been a stumbling that's taken place. Why? Because now, I believe Prime Minister Netanyahu is truly standing for the Jewish people and trying to reverse a two-state solution that Israelis don't even know exists. They have no idea that Ariel Sharon took and signed a two-state solution many years ago. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is trying to reverse this problem and trying to give the people back one state. And this is what I believe the message of Yehuda Glick was. Because notice, Rabbi Glick made the statement when we were in the interview there. He said, you guys will tell the truth. But I know the mainstream media will never bring it the right way. So that's what we're here today for doing with you guys now, is to bring you the true news of what's really happening here. And as he said, as he clearly said, this is what the state is all about. No two states anymore. It's a two-state, then Paul cuts him off. It's not even a word of a two-state solution, because a two-state is not a solution, it's a problem. Two states creates a problem. I think you're seeing prophecy being fulfilled, because as Daniel 11, chapter 14 clearly says, in the Hebrew language, not in the English version that most people get, but it clearly states, the sons of the lawless, which would have been Peres in 1993 and 1994, when he was trying to give over Jerusalem to the Vatican, as well as Mount Zion to the Vatican. He was one of those sons. And then Ariel Sharon to sign a two-state into law would have been another son of the lawless. That's why it is the sons of the lawless in Hebrew, in a plural. They shall try to what? Marry the vision. What did Rabbi Glick say? Or he's quoting Prime Minister Netanyahu? He said, you cannot have a wedding without a bride and a bridegroom. Now, interesting, what vision is he speaking about? The only vision where you have a wedding involved is in Isaiah 61 and chapter 62. When you get down to the bottom, it's the full restoration of Israel. But what do we get? We get a marriage. We get a bride and a bridegroom spoken of, both in chapter 61 as well as chapter 62. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Shalom from Jerusalem.